I said I'm not a politician, I'm becoming one. And one of the things about being a politician, you have to talk about yourself. Okay, so I'm going to talk about myself for a moment. I'm a little uncomfortable about doing this, so I'm going to talk about myself for a moment and my experience through my career. And I'm looking back at how I got to this place. I will say that virtually everything that I did and learned has prepared me for this moment. Okay? It starts with growing up in the West, in Edmonton, the values of the West, which are hard work, community. You know, go back to Saskatchewan, if it's minus 30, you better have a community around you. Tolerance, and ambition. And ambition. That's what characterizes the Lower Mainland. That's what characterizes British Columbia and Canada. We have ambition. We care for others. Now, Jonathan mentioned some of this. I, for various reasons, I've worked in the private sector, the public sector. I've been in a position of managing through a number of crises here, abroad, and helping to build strong economies. And I take three lessons from all of that experience. The first is, I've mentioned this, never forget where you're from, never forget your core values.
Yeah.
The second is that in a crisis, and we are in a crisis, make no mistake, it is not of our own making, but we are in a crisis. When you are in a crisis, plan beats no plan. You have to have a plan. You can't have slogans. You have to have a plan.
Yeah.
It gives discipline, it gives focus, it gives energy. People rally around it, you move forward. The Liberal Party has a plan. It's a big plan. We're going to put it into action with your support, and it will work. And the third thing I've learned, and this is a bit where you don't have to buy my book, and I'm sorry. I am sorry, actually. I wrote it during COVID. There'll be refunds.
It's a great book.
I wrote it during COVID. I had some time on my hand. Maybe it could have been a little shorter. But anyways, the core of this is that markets don't have values. People. And it's our job as citizens to make sure markets deliver what people want and what people need. Now, our opponent in this election, upcoming election, doesn't understand any of that.
Nope.
Doesn't understand any of that. Doesn't understand how the private sector works because he's never worked in the private sector. This is someone who's never earned a paycheck, never made a payroll. But because he hasn't, and I've seen this type of politician around the world, saw them in Brexit, it was the people who drove Brexit. Literally, it's a right-wing politician, never worked in the private sector, but worships at the altar of the market.
Yeah.
Waiting for the trickle down. Okay? The answer to everything is to slash and cut and destroy. Doesn't understand the institutions and the nature of this country and what makes this country great. Now, I think he's seriously, Pierre has a big test on Saturday night. He's wrapping himself in the flag. All of a sudden we're not broken, we're really good, about that stuff. Jordan Peterson never met the guy. I didn't just copy and paste all the MAGA talking points, swapping out America, Canada. No, America first, Canada first. No, wait a minute. It's got a big thing and he's got to celebrate what makes this country great. Now let me turn to America for a second. So, it's hard a bit to understand why our friends and allies, former friends and allies, now our neighbors, I mean, let's be honest, these are our neighbors. We can't move. They're not going anywhere. They're not coming over the border. They're not going anywhere. about what's happened there. And I think part of it is that they forgot about the middle class. Really forgot about the middle class, decade after decade after decade. And this government, look, it hasn't always been perfect, but this government has always been focused on the middle class. And we absolutely do. So, the Americans they want our resources, they want our water, they want our land, they want our country.
No way.
No free love. They would destroy our way of life.
Yes, they would.
They would destroy our way of life. Let's just think about this for a second. Canada, and I look around this room, classic example, and I tell you, you'd be in rural Nova Scotia, you'd be in Saskatoon, Regina, Winnipeg, Toronto, wherever, Edmonton, and you see the difference between Canada and the United States. Canada is a mosaic.
Yeah.
We're a mosaic. We're all Canadians. We all have our own identity. We celebrate that. The Americans are a melting pot. The Americans are a melting pot. There is no recognition. There's no recognition. I mean, it pains me to say it, of First Nations in the United States of America. It's a disgrace. There would never be an equal language, the French language in the United States. In the United States now, diversity is becoming an insult.
And a crime.
It soon will be a crime.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
It soon will be a crime. America is not Canada. And Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way, shape, or form.
We don't want them, yeah.
If exactly. If the president wants part of Canada, you can get in line and apply with the rest of them. Now, we do background checks. Speaking of background checks, actually, I'm looking forward to submitting my top secret security clearance. I had one when I was going to the Bank of Canada. It's not that hard. Stay where you live, where you worked, who your relatives are. Do you have any cash offshore? Anyways, I'll be putting that in. Okay. So, seriously though, the question now, what do we do? This is a crisis not of our own making, a crisis forced on us. And I think the fundamental thing in a crisis, I've learned, is that it's important to separate what you can control, what you can influence, and what you can't control. We can't control, I think it's pretty clear, we can't control external forces. I think there is some influence, and our colleagues have been part of this, and there's other ministers down, first ministers are down in Washington. We can influence some actors in the United States, some other Congress people, businesses and others. It is not as powerful a channel as it was 6 years ago when we last had Team Canada. I think we can have some influence with the president, particularly in taking seriously the issues around fentanyl, which the Canadian government has done, because fentanyl is an absolute crisis in the United States. It is a challenge here, but it's a crisis in the United States. I think he deserves our respect for raising this issue, putting it on the table, and we will do everything we can to help the Americans with this grave problem.
that they have.